Hey gang, guess who's back on their bullshit again? It's me. I'm talking about AI again. SIMBIB. Hello folks, welcome back to Stuff I Make Because I'm Bored. My name is Sin and I will be your host, and today I want to talk about some of my heroes, the University of Chicago and the Sand Lab. More specifically, I want to talk about their breakthrough anti-AI tools, Glaze and Nightshade. Whoa, wait. Sin, didn't you say that you were working on a big video? This isn't a big video. Well, I am. I'm just running into a small problem. Those being, Hey, brain, wanna work on this video today? Ah! No! Stop! You can't make me! Ah! You know, reasons. Just be patient. It'll happen. Anyway, if you're an artist online, there's a very good chance you've heard of one or both of these programs, especially with Tumblr's recent journey into selling their users' data to AI companies to train their AIs. Granted, OpenAI, Midjourney, and all that other drivel has undoubtedly already scraped Tumblr, so it's not like Tumblr was a haven in the past. However, the issue comes into their method of scraping, which they have said has pulled in private asks as well as data from deleted blogs, not to mention that people who are not aware of the changes are automatically opted in and need to manually opt out, which is horse manure, but I'm getting super off track. Glaze and Nightshade. Yeah, let's dig into it. Before I talk about the genius that is Glaze and Nightshade, I need to give you a little bit of history on why these things are so important. Any artist who posts their work online, whether it be traditional work like photography, sculpture, or jewelry, or digital art like illustrations, 3D models, and even videos, is familiar with theft. It comes with the territory of putting your work online. There are unlimited numbers of thievery accounts on Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube even, Twitter, and just about anywhere that you can post media that are completely full of images or videos that they stole from other creators. You can see that most in like hashtag aesthetic accounts or mood board accounts or post a cat a day accounts. These accounts take images that they find probably on Google, repost them to their accounts with some dumb tagline, and very, very often do not credit the place that they found that image. Or, my personal favorite, credit to the artist in the description. The worst. This type of theft is incredibly annoying, but the severity of the theft is really a pretty personal call per artist. A lot of artists don't want anyone taking any of their art and re-uploading it anywhere else on the internet. And I understand this. I honestly feel the same way about my work. And a lot of other artists don't mind if somebody re-uploads it as long as there is clear credit given to them in the description or header of the image so that the people who see the re-uploaded artwork can find the original creator and maybe purchase the art if they like it, or find other works by that artist that they might enjoy. And that brings me to the second kind of theft. And this is the one that I can guarantee not a single artist wants to happen, and it comes in an incredibly huge range of infractions. People making money off of somebody else's work. Searching Doctor Who chibi on DeviantArt and finding and saving every single image that you find, slapping them onto a sticker sheet, and then selling them on Etsy is theft. You are making money off of somebody else's work. But this doesn't just affect artists who work primarily in illustrations. Artists who post images of their sculptures have had their images stolen and used to sell fake bootlegs. Fashion items have even been used to create rip-off versions of said fashion item. Artists lose incredible amounts of time and money taking down shops like these, all the time. And don't think that small-time sellers like individual people are the only ones who are doing this stuff. In 2016, the clothing giant Zara was sued by over 40 independent artists because they ripped off a bunch of smaller designers to further their brand. I bring this up to say, online artists are no strangers to theft. Frankly, until people who use the internet learn that image is online does not mean image is free to use, and then also actually adhere to those rules, it will probably happen until the end of time. That's the trade-off for posting your work publicly, even if that really sucks. But because we're so used to it, we artists as a community have certain things that we can do to protect our work to a certain extent. Posting low-resolution images instead of high-resolution ones helps prevent people from stealing your images and then selling it on mugs or shirts. Adding a watermark on the image somewhere is difficult to crop out will probably prevent people from cropping it out. And when posting pictures of merchandise, like acrylic charms or stickers, don't post any images where the charms or stickers directly face the camera. Or better yet, don't post a static image and instead post a short GIF. All of these are annoying steps to have to take, but it does do a pretty good job of deterring all but the most egregious thieves. So, you know, we do what we have to do to not get exploited. But all of that changed when generative art suddenly evolved as huge as it did in late 2022. The sheer volume and speed of data scraping and exploitation was unprecedented. There's never been something like this in the world before. I mean, data scraping has been a thing for a long time, but it hasn't been used like this. Not in the art world, anyway. This isn't like somebody taking one picture of art that you've made, slapping it on a mug, and then selling it in their store. This is someone feeding your entire library of work to a machine that then produces new work that looks like you made it at a pace that you as a human being could never ever hope to keep up with. It was like these generative AI machines had downloaded artists' brains and was now forcing them to make artwork for them without their permission and with no compensation. It is turbocharged theft at an absolutely unbelievable scale. What were artists to do? It's not like they could just delete their entire online galleries and have this solve the problem. Their work was already stolen. It is already in the datasets. Besides, even if they did delete their entire gallery in time, that doesn't mean that they could take down all of the work of theirs that had been previously re-uploaded somewhere else by other people. Their work was there on the internet, ripe for the taking. But while all this was happening, behind the scenes stepped up a team of people who didn't agree with the way AI companies were exploiting artists. A group of computer science faculty and graduate students, alongside digital and traditional artists, worked tirelessly to create a counterweapon to fight back against the mass theft. In the University of Chicago, in early 2023, the Sand Lab team was hard at work creating a countermeasure against AI learning algorithms. The team, led by Shawn Shan and Professor Zhao, was comprised entirely of graduate students who worked on this project in their free time. Their goal was to create a tool that was as uninvasive as possible that would allow artists to post their work online while being protected from AI exploitation. The end result of their hard work is Glaze. Glaze, named after the protective coat added to paintings after they're finished, is a tool that is specifically designed to distort the way that AI sees images while remaining unobtrusive to viewers. Much like traditional glazing, this tool is meant to be used after a piece of artwork is finished and before the art is uploaded to the internet. But how does it work? The answer to that is quite ingenious, honestly. As I've mentioned in previous videos, an AI generative program does not see images the way a person does. An AI learning machine looks at images pixel by pixel. So for example, if you wanted to learn what a ball is, you must feed it hundreds, or better yet, thousands of images of balls until it knows that this specific sequence of pixels in these specific colors is what can be frequently described as ball. Glaze works by exploiting this learning process. It slightly alters the look of an image by essentially creating a specific distortion filter that subtly adjusts the layout of certain pixels. Then, when an AI is fed an image like this, it is essentially fed garbage information and cannot accurately recreate the image due to the distortion. Amazing, right? The simplicity of this program is what's so beautiful to me. It can't be cropped out because it affects the entire image. If someone were to download the image and re-upload it somewhere else, or even if somebody screenshots the images and uses that, the glaze is still in effect. And due to its subtlety, it's not really noticeable to viewers of the image. And if the image is scraped anyway, the garbage is just added into the AI systems, and it's a pain in the neck to manually review and remove each offending piece. There are, of course, naysayers, as there are for all things. I've heard complaints that glaze is easily reverse engineered and removed, or easy to work around, which is wrong, frankly. You can't remove a filter from an image after it's been applied. You can continue working the image, and as folks have said, you could heavily blur the image and then resharpen the image to try and get around it. But to that I have two things to say. One, this is a lot of work for someone to do, and if they're looking to scrape a gigantic load of artwork all at once, it is a pain to manually identify and then remove or rework each art piece one by hand. And two, there's a whole section on their website documenting people who have tried to reverse engineer glaze and failed. There is, as of early March 2024, no way to reverse glaze, because glaze affects more than 80% of all the pixels in an image. It's not as simple as blur it and then sharpen it again. Glaze works on a much more complicated and deeper level than that. And even if you do put in the work to blur and sharpen and fiddle with the images, that's not what AI tech bros want. They want crisp, beautiful images like this original from Carla Ortiz, because this is the kind of work that they're trying to rip off. If you create a blurred out, resharpened mess, the AI is going to try and copy this. not the original. If I were to look at Carla's image and redraw it because I'm doing a master study or something like this, I can copy the image whether it looks like this, like this, like this, or even if it looks like this. But an AI cannot do that. If an AI sees something like this, it will only be able to copy exactly this, which is what makes Glaze so genius. From the tech bro side, I have heard people complain that Glaze could ruin their precious models, and that artists must disclose whether their work has been glazed or not, so that they can easily omit it from scraping. Maybe, tech bros, if you didn't steal from people and instead asked them for permission and paid them for their work, you could continue to use it. But since you refuse to do that, you can drink my dirty paint water. Other complaints that I've heard about Glaze are that Glaze takes a lot of energy to apply, in the same way that AI generative models require an enormous amount of computing power and energy to create their garbage drivel. This is a misunderstanding. If you download Glaze to your computer, it is a local program. It only uses your computer to apply Glaze. So it takes no more energy to use that than it would take me to, draw something on my computer. Glaze also doesn't save any of your data. They are extremely transparent on their website as to what information Glaze stores of yours. And like I said, if you use Glaze locally, it doesn't even connect to the internet. It just processes your image. But for those people whose computers are potatoes, Glaze does need a lot of power from your computer, you can get an invite to WebGlaze, or you can sign up for Kara, an art platform that applies Glaze to your images automatically upon upload. Thanks, Kara! That said, WebGlaze and Kara do use computing power from Amazon Cloud, or other online data servers. I'm not sure which one Kara uses. And to that I say, well, yeah, okay, that would use a bit more energy than just your computer, so if that bothers you, get the desktop version. However, there is one big drawback to Glaze. It is most effective in defending artists against models that are fine-tuned to mimic their specific art style. How that works is that a general AI generative model trains on, shall we say, all the data on the internet. Then, once this base model has been trained, AI scrapers can fine-tune a new version of this model by feeding it all the artwork from a specific artist, so that the AI can better create soulless knockoffs in the style of that specific artist. Don't get me wrong, Glaze does still affect the training of the enormous datasets as well. It's just less effective because it's one glazed image in a sea of thousands, and it doesn't make as much of a difference as a glazed image in a puddle of, say, 30 to 50 images would. And this is where Nightshade comes in. Where Glaze protects an artist's body of work from being fed into a fine-tuned art mushmaker, Nightshade takes a bit more of a, shall we say, direct approach. A Trojan horse, if you will. Like Glaze, Nightshade affects the physical composition of an image, but where Glaze specializes in protecting artists from style mimicry, Nightshade aims to directly poison the AI model that it's being fed to. It works like this. Using Nightshade on an image will alter its composition, just like Glaze, but it is specifically designed to mislead the AI into reading the contents of the image as something else. Let's take this image for example. We as people see this image as a cat, but with Nightshade applied, AI will see this image as if it is a dog. They achieve this by rearranging the pixels in such a way that, to a robot, this appears to be a dog. What this means is that to human observers, nothing really changes. But if an AI picks up this data and trains on it, it's gonna start creating dogs as small animals with short snouts and round cheeks and large whiskers and slit eyes. Have a look at this diagram from the SandLab team's research paper. On the top row, it shows the output of an AI generative model with no poison data samples, with the prompts as written at the top of the chart. The rows below show the output of the same prompt, after they've been fed more and more poison data, where the poison data is labeled as what is at the bottom of the chart. And as you can see, even a small amount of poison samples can really f with an AI model's output. Isn't it beautiful? Like Glaze, Nightshade cannot be removed from an image after it's been added. Like Glaze, they don't steal your data. Like Glaze, it stays effective even if somebody downloads and re-uploads your image or even takes a screenshot of it. And like Glaze, it does not require enormous amounts of energy like generative AI does because it does it locally on your computer. The only current downside to Nightshade is that it does require a pretty beefy GPU, and they don't have a web version available yet. But they're working on it. And before I hear anybody crying that this is like illegal or something and it's like sabotaging AI generative models on purpose, if I put ghost peppers in my lunch and clearly label my lunch as do not steal / scrape and you take it anyway and start choking, forgive me if I'm overstepping, but that sounds like it was your fault, doesn't it? Maybe you should just ask for permission, tech bros. Then you wouldn't have to worry about it. In closing, Glaze and Nightshade are incredible tools of self-defense against AI scraping. You don't even need to be an artist to use them either. You can use either or both of these tools on your selfies, on memes, on your sketches, on pictures of your pets. The more junk data is out there on the web, the more cautious scrapers will need to be, and ideally, the less scraping they'll do, and thus, the more secure posting online images will become. Speaking of, using these tools on your selfies would be an excellent defense against people using your likeness to create, like, deep fakes of you. Just a thought. And finally, I want to thank again the Sand Lab team for their incredible efforts in creating these tools for artists to use for free to defend themselves against AI fuckery. So thank you, Shawn Shan, Jenna Cryan, Emily Wenger, sorry your image wasn't loading on the webpage, Professor Heather Zheng, Professor Rana Hanocka, and Professor Ben Zhao, and all the artists that have worked alongside them. You are my heroes. Have you heard about Glaze or Nightshade? What are your thoughts on them? Have you used them before, or will you start using them going forward? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for spending some time with me. Leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. If you want to hear from me more often, you can follow me on my social medias. You can find the @ here and in the description. But that's all for today, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Bye! SIMBIB, stuff I make because I'm bored. Okay. I promise that's actually it for talking about AI. I made this video because I saw some people shit-talking Glaze and I got mad. Anyone else notice that being mad is like a major motivator for me?